a stuntman named Colt returns to the movie set of his ex-girlfriend to bring back the missing hero of the movie. Colt does the toughest stunts in the perfect way, winning every situation. It's a beautiful mix of action, comedy, and drama. Colt performs challenging stunts and hugs his girlfriend, a camera operator, Jody. Soon an assistant leads him to meet the lead actor who is unhappy with the last scene. The hero, Tom Ryder, thinks Colt deliberately revealed his face in the previous stunt, while he was supposed to match his appearance. Without objection, Colt gets ready to redo the scene, and on the way he romantically talks to Jody using a walkie-talkie about meeting her on the beach in the evening. They tie the strings and Colt prepares to jump from this building. Somehow one rope breaks and Colt gets a severe injury in his neck. For 18 months he remained hidden. Despite Jody's efforts to be with him in these challenging times, he broke all contact. After complete recovery, he decided to run a restaurant where, one day, a man recognized his face. Despite his denial, he insisted he drifts his car as a stuntman, without a scratch. The same evening, he received a call from Tom's assistant Gail, asking him to return to the movie sets as a stunt guy. She insists that Jody wants only him as Tom's stuntman in her film. After a long time, he drifts the car that night and gets on the plane to join the movie crew the next day. Now he is surprised that technicians use deep veil technology to put the hero's face over the stunt guy's face. Dan welcomes him for returning after a long time, and from a distance, he can watch Jody stressing out on tiny details of each scene. She wants her debut movie as director to be perfect. Colt inspects the sand, which is too damp for the stunt, and he is afraid that the stunt will not go wrong from the last accident. But Dan encourages him to go fearless as he always used to be. Hence, Colt starts the car amid the heavy explosions on the set. Jody's car follows him. He accidentally bumps into the front camera and shatters it. But he keeps going until they press the button, and Colt's car blasts and rolls on the ground, breaking every part of the car. The scene ends successfully, and they immediately bring Colt out of the car to know if he is safe. He hasn't got any scratches, and as soon as he turns around, Jody looks at him and frowns to see him there. She requests her crew to replace him with anybody, as he does not want him. In the second scene they put Colt on fire, and after the scene ends, Jody talks to Colt on speaker to brief him about the storyline. The movie is about a cowboy and an alien girl, where the cowboy disappears. Before the further story, Colt wants to redo the scene, and once again, he smashes his body against the rock after putting fire on him. Jody continues the story with sadness, saying that the alien girl had feelings for the cowboy, but she moved on with her life when he never returned, and she met better people in her life. Jody wants to know his opinion and what he would say if he were a cowboy. He knows that Jody needs an explanation for his disappearance, and he asks to talk privately, but she insists on going on with the speaker. Colt admits that Cowboy messed up by waiting so long, and he has been late ever since. He lives in regret. They wrap up the scene, and Colt returns to the dressing room, where he meets Gail and accuses her of lying that Jody wanted him here, but she didn't. Gail convinces him that she knows what Jody wants, and that he must take a second chance. But for now, she wants him to search for Tom, who has been missing for a few days. It would have been a lot before Jody knew that her movies were missing. Colt agrees to save Jody's movie, and sitting in the car outside he looks at Jody. Tears fall down his cheeks, missing the good old days spent with her. Jody stops by his car and notices that he is crying, but denies it. She accompanies him in the car and apologizes for his long disappearance. He admitted he wanted to be with her, but there were invincible boundaries. Now Jody wants to keep their relationship professional and gets out of the car. She smiles, knowing that Colt is, and has always been in love with her. Soon Colt enters Tom's apartment and enters the passcode. He could not stop watching the beautiful interior, and made himself a coffee. Suddenly, Tom's girlfriend appears out of nowhere, and attacks him with a sword. She is also the co-star in Jody's movie Metal Storm, and knows who can tell him about where Tom is. Before going to the famous club, she asks him to change his appearance and look like a rich guy. As soon as he enters, a crocodile head guy welcomes him. He is the drug dealer who has the information about Tom. He offers Colt a drink that blurs his understanding. Finding that the guy deliberately did this, Colt beats his guys and swiftly follows the crocodile's head guy, but he gets in the car before it reaches. Colt uses his teeth guard, jumps in front of the guy's car, and asks for Tom's address. He sends him to a hotel, telling him the secret words so the staff understands where to take him. He reaches the hotel and utters the hidden words, but in the hallucinating state, he once again sees Jody. She argues with him once more about not letting her be with him on his most challenging days. Suddenly, Gail arrives and forcibly takes Judy away, telling them it's a work thing. Soon the receptionist gives Colt the room card, which does not work initially, but he makes his way inside. Suddenly his phone rings and Cody asks him again about the split screen between the lovers. That would show both characters simultaneously and bring more emotions. He cannot tell he is in a difficult situation, and continues the conversation anyway. Like Notting Hill movie, Jody wants to romanticize the cowboy and alien love. She loves little metaphors of love, while Colt encourages her to use her imagination as she knows better what to do. They hang up the call, and Colt resumes searching for the apartment. In the washroom, he finds the corpse of a man immersed in ice. He immediately runs downstairs and tells Gail that there is a corpse and he is going to report it to the police. She stops him, but he tells the police and takes them to the apartment. Surprisingly, there is no corpse and no ice in the tub. The next day, Jody wants to finish all the stunts in one act. She thanked Colt for talking to her last night and making everything calm and clear in her mind. They perform the high jumps in rain and up and down falls. Jody looks quite happy working with him. Hence, after the shoot ends, she wants him to join her in karaoke. But as soon as she leaves, Gail hands him a ticket back to where he came from, because she thinks calling him back was a mistake, and that he must go quickly. Wondering at Gail's behavior, he looks at the girl taking Tom's dogs and mobile phone away. She reveals that Gail called her to retrieve Tom's dogs, and she found his missing phone too. She makes a deal with Colt to take the phone in exchange for her career protection. All the situation seems fishy to her. Suddenly, Tom's security guard hits Colt, puts the girl in the truck, and runs away. Colt follows them with Tom's dog and lands in the car just before the truck. It slows the truck but does not stop it. On the other hand, Gail conveys the news to Judy, waiting for Colt that he left, so she don't need to wait. On the other hand, Colt jumps in the truck and hits the security, while the dogs help him throw the guards down. Depressed, Jody gets on the stage and sings a sad song as she is heartbroken, knowing that Colt has left her alone again. On the other hand, Colt hits the guy in the back of a truck, while the girl throws the driver out of it. Colt hardly manages to reach the front side, and the brakes do not work. The dog takes out the stuck bottle under the truck, which stops it and throws Colt out of the car. He runs to join JPD at karaoke, but she leaves before he arrives. They save Tom's phone from security, but Colt needed to open it to reach the content. Colt finds his friend Dan sitting there. He introduces him to a girl who's good at breaking the passcode. She needs time to open the phone, but if Colt wants to reach the passcode immediately, she says it would be somewhere on the wall in Tom's apartment. He immediately reaches Tom's apartment with Dan, and soon Dan discovers the hidden passcode written on a piece of paper. Among a lot of videos, they discovered that in the last video, while partying with his friends, he murdered one of the stuntmen named Henry. Suddenly, Dan receives a call to see the news, and as expected, police have already found Henry's dead body at a hotel. They are searching for Colt as the prime suspect in his murder. It dawns on Colt that he was trapped for being a murderer by Tom and Gail, and when he saw a corpse at the hotel in the bathtub, that was not his hallucination. Colt tries to reach Jody immediately, but heartbroken Jody does not attend to any of the messages. Dan encourages Colt to stay alive and face the allegations. At the same time, several men reach the apartment to kill Colt. Dan and Colt smash the attackers with one gunshot, and Tom's phone gets shattered, which carries proof that Tom killed Henry. In the rush, Colt puts the gun on an attacker and sends Dan to make sure there is no one else. Suddenly, the attacker snatches the weapon from Colt and opens the fire. It's a mock gun and Colt acts as if he died, but he gets up and jumps down the building, dodging several gunmen. On the lower floor, Tom welcomes him, while another guy throws him down by hitting Colt's face. On the other hand, Gail tells Judy that it's all over the news that Colt murdered stunt performer Henry. Judy could not believe that, as Colt could not even kill a cockroach. Also, Gail told her that he had taken the plane and had flown. But Gail wants her to feel at any cost that he is a murderer and he betrayed her. On the other hand, Colt regains his consciousness and finds Tom sitting beside him. He admits that 18 months ago he was the one who pressed the button that pulled the string, resulting in Colt's injury. He didn't like that Colt revealed the face in the stunt. When he accidentally murdered Henry, he called Gail, terrified of what might happen next. She calmed him down and handled the matter. On the other hand, Gail tries to take Jody's phone to disconnect her from Colt and spills the liquid over it. But Judy gets angry and asks her to leave her alone simultaneously. Tom reveals how he and Gail planned to drug Colt and then put Henry's body in his car, and they planned to kill Colt by portraying that he committed suicide after Henry's murder. But since that plan failed, they want to kill Colt by putting fire on him. Tom's security throws the petrol over Colt's body and is about to light a fire when he blows it back on him. They catch fire, and Colt runs away by jumping on a yacht. He takes it away and saves himself from gunshots. After reaching a safe distance, he calls Judy to tell her he has always loved and left her because he is disappointed in himself. Then suddenly, he bangs his yacht into another ship and it blasts with a colossal fire. Judy hears the blast on the phone. The news that stuntman Colt committed suicide is all over the media. Gail gets the death news too, while Colt swims in the river and makes his way to the riverbank by swimming. The next day, Colt reaches the movie set in the alien costume and enters Judy's room. She rewatches the blast video many times to make sure Colt is alive when he puts his hand on her face. Finding an unknown attacker in the room, she kicks him in the stomach and bangs his head. Afterward, when she is about to pierce his face with a pen, Colt stops her and reveals his face. He shares how Tom and Gail framed him in Henry's murder story. Suddenly, Gail knocks on the door, and Judy hides him before opening the door. Gail consoles Judy for Colt's death and advises her to focus on the movie. Judy looks as her little TED Talk encourages her and shuts the door after sending Gail out of the room. Now Judy and Colt plan to frame Tom by getting his confession on screen. Hence, Judy directs the movie's last scene and congratulates him. But after the recording, she wants to record another alien truck coverage. Tom has to pretend to be riding a stationary car when they record the scene. Amid the scene, Colt joins him, puts on the steering wheel, and starts the car. He drives it, taking Tom with him while looking for a stranger to abduct Tom, and his security follows him. Dan continues to blast the bombs in the way. Tom asks him if he and Gail are responsible for Henry's murder, and Tom confesses it. Colt reveals that he is wired, and his confession is now officially recorded. Afterward, Colt jumps the car from one side to another, which shatters the vehicle and makes Tom unconscious. Meanwhile, Gail finds that the recording room has recorded Tom's confession. Hence, she hits the recording man and steals the tape. Gail has always been Judy's shadow for being an easily moldable person and refuses to give her the tape. On the other hand, Dan hits Tom's security, and Judy beats the guys around her to follow Gail. Gail immediately gets on the chopper to escape, but Colt gets on the camera stand and jumps on the helicopter. Before that, Judy and Heat promise to meet on the beach, drink a spicy margarita, and make bad decisions. He jumps inside the chopper using his stunts, gets the tape, and jumps down on the phone Jody has already settled for him. They hug each other, and Jody's movie becomes a hit. Judy and Colt live happily ever after.